Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are around the world, and welcome to 1847 Liberty. I'm Thomas Sarko, and together with my co-host Joseph Irene, we bring you insightful analysis and exclusive interviews of thought leaders from Liberia and around the world. Please stay tuned. In our previous segment, we addressed the President of the Republic of Liberia, highlighting key reforms and suggesting areas for improvement. Today, we turn our attention to the citizens of Liberia. We're speaking directly to you, the people of the Republic of Liberia, to discuss the vital role that the electorate plays in the functioning of the democratic process in Liberia. In Liberia, the concept of democracy has a unique and complex character shaped by the realities of the mediocre ruling class and distorted public expectations. Unlike the ideals often celebrated in more established democratic societies, where elected officials are seen as public servants accountable to their constituents, many Liberians approach electoral politics with a transactional mindset. Most voters in Liberia expect candidates to provide immediate benefits in exchange for their support. This concept creates a political environment in which favors and financial incentives often determine the path to office. This stark contrast with democratic ideal reveals in systems in which community engagement is closely tied to self-interest, shaping the very foundation of political participation in the country. Once in office, the same cycle repeats itself. Public officials frequently exploit their positions for personal gains, enriching themselves with public funds. They then use this wealth during subsequent election cycles to offer temporary solutions to pressing economic and infrastructural problems in their constituencies. This method only allows them to maintain power and continue exploiting the country for years without facing accountability, as the citizens' expectations remain quite simple. Given this uncomplicated standard for attaining public office, politicians in Liberia often treat politics as a business. They effectively buy their way into elected positions, enrich themselves with public funds, and may condescendingly distribute gifts to their constituents who receive them with gratitude, treating their elected officials as benevolent philanthropists. This type of mindset discourages many qualified and well intentioned citizens from participating in our political system, allowing a group of mediocre politicians to dominate and hindering national development and growth. What we need in Liberia is a shift in thinking toward accountability, integrity, and informed voting. Such a change can empower citizens to demand more from their leaders and contribute to a more effective democratic system. Until we address this mindset issue as a country, we will not achieve significant progress. In many countries, serious groups of people entrust leadership not based on what they can immediately gain from their leaders, on the proven track records of those leaders in their respective areas of expertise. Since Liberians are particularly fascinated with the United States, I will use it as an example. Former US President Barack Obama did not ascend to political prominence because he had much money to build roads and school buildings in his home state of Illinois. Nor did Obama achieve success in politics by awarding scholarships to underserved kids in the south side of Chicago. Instead, President Obama made a name for himself through hard work, integrity, good character, and advocacy through community organizing. That's how he gained the trust of the people of Illinois, who rewarded him by electing him as a state senator. Now, while in the Senate, he focused not on enriching himself, but on continuing his advocacy for ordinary citizens who struggled to get ahead in a system that made it difficult for them to rise. The citizens of the state of Illinois evaluated Obama's work in the state Senate and subsequently elected him to the United States Senate. As a US Senator, he was seen as having a compelling vision for the country and a convincing track record of honesty, integrity, and genuine passion for advocating for underserved communities nationwide. Obama did not need his own funds to undertake infrastructure projects. That's simply not how it is done in the US. All he needed was his good character, his proven track record of excellence in both his professional and political life, and a compelling vision for the country. Once the members of his party were convinced that he was the best candidate, they ran a successful grassroots campaign in which ordinary citizens chipped in their nickels and dimes to support him. In the end, Obama arguably lived up to the expectations of the millions of Americans who placed their faith in him. Now, regarding Liberia, a candidate like Obama would likely never even make it to the House of Representatives. This is because the Liberian electorate has an entirely different expectation of its leaders. It is no wonder that our House of Parliament is filled with former warlords and many mediocre individuals. Yet, we still expect the country to develop and become like other serious nations. That simply doesn't work, Liberians. What you sow is what you will reap. While citizens of more developed countries hold their current
and former officials to high standards of accountability and honesty, we often cheer cheer on corrupt officials who grow wealthy while in public office and even make mockery of those public officials who appear broke after their terms. Imagine that. Liberians generally have a deep admiration for countries like the United States and other advanced Western democracies, often viewing those countries as heaven on earth. Many of our current and former leaders have pursued their education and lived in the US, other developed nations for extended periods before returning to Liberia. However, it often proves very challenging for them to replicate some of the effective practices they observed or experienced in these countries, particularly in terms of good governance and patriotism. It is a shame that we admire the qualities of other countries while behaving in ways that are the complete opposite of those we admire. As a nation, we fail to realize that a country's leaders reflect the nature of the people they lead. Iberian leaders are inefficient, mostly inefficient and mediocre, because the people have low expectations of them. No single president can solve Liberia's complex problems with a magic wand. Liberians themselves must first work on reorienting their mindset. The concept of leadership and what to expect from our leaders must be understood with the true meaning of democracy. This understanding should motivate us to demand more from our leaders and to hold them accountable for their actions. Now, one of my favorite authors, Professor John Donne, defines democracy in his best-selling book, The Story of Democracy, as more than just a system of self-rule. He describes it as a means for individuals to subject to political power while preserving their dignity and personal interests, primarily through institutions like free and fair elections. He argues that democracy's legitimacy comes from its capacity to enable citizens to choose their government and hold it accountable rather than from direct control. For Professor Dunn, the lasting appeal of democracy lies in what he calls the reconciliatory promise. Despite the inevitability of subjection to authority, citizens can participate equally in selecting their leaders. He also emphasizes the importance of legitimacy from choice, asserting that a government's legitimacy derives from the populace, which should have a fair opportunity to hold its rulers accountable. To foster a culture of informed civic engagement in Liberia, citizens can take several key actions. First, they should focus on education and awareness by organizing workshops and using media to enhance civic knowledge about voting and accountability. Encouraging voter registration and mobilizing communities can ensure high turnout on election day. Creating impartial guides to compare candidates' policies is also essential, as is hosting public forums for candidates to engage with constituents. Collaborating with non-governmental organizations that support democratic practices will strengthen civil society. Additionally, advocating for transparent campaign financing and holding public officials accountable is crucial. Utilizing apps and online platforms can provide easy access to candidate information. Engaging the youth in the political process and integrating civic education in schools are also vital steps. By promoting ethical leadership, role models, and establishing mechanisms to evaluate elected officials, Liberians can become more informed and engaged, leading to better governance and positive change. In conclusion, transforming Liberia's political landscape requires a fundamental shift in the expectations and behaviors of both citizens and leaders. To break free from the cycle of mediocrity and corruption, Liberians must prioritize integrity, accountability, and long-term vision over immediate personal gain. By fostering a culture of informed civic engagement and demanding that public officials uphold their responsibilities, the electorate can begin to rebuild trust in governance. Citizens must recognize their power to elect leaders based on proven character and vision, as demonstrated by the success stories of figures such as President Obama of the US. Only then can Liberian aspire a future where genuine leadership drives national development and prosperity, paving the way for a truly democratic society that benefits all its people.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are around the world, and welcome to 1847 Liberty. I'm Thomas Sarko, and together with my co-host Joseph Irene, we bring you insightful analysis and exclusive interviews of thought leaders from Liberia and around the world. Please stay tuned.
Joining us today to provide insight in the topic are Liberian author and corporate planning expert Joseph Akwezeze. Um, our other panelists, didn't make it, but we'll go on to introduce a very influential Liberian in person of Mr. Charles E. King. Uh, we're pleased to welcome you, sir. Charles E. King is the grandson of former Liberian President Charles D.D. King. Mr. King has a rich political heritage and extensive experience in both criminal justice and the security sector in Liberia and the United States. His background also encompasses significant historical and diplomatic knowledge, as he spent many years accompanying his father, Charles CTO King, as who was Liberia's first ambassador to the United States and later served as Liberia's ambassador to the United Nations. Additionally, his father led Liberia's foreign missions in the United Kingdom, France, and Nigeria. Mr. King is also a mentor, educator, and a true statesman. Gentlemen, welcome to 1847 Liberty.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sanko. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you once again.
Mr. Sanko,
Yes, sir.
I would like to make a small correction.
Okay, please.
Before we go on, it was,
Please, sir.
CDB King, King, former President CDB King, my grandfather, was the first ambassador, African ambassador to the United States.
Okay.
My father, CTO King, was the first ambassador to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, because we hail on the father side from Nigeria, Yoruba land. That's where our male side comes from. So I just want to connect that. And again, I'm always introduced sometimes as the grandson of CDB King. Well, that's fine, but my own professional background is in criminal justice and law enforcement. And so that's I don't choose the family I'm born into. I always tell those I'm mentoring, you never choose the family, but you are responsible for being aware of who you are and then how you can help other people. That is your destiny. So if a person is born in a family that they may consider not wealthy or not influential, once they are born there, it's their responsibility to know who they are and what their duties and responsibilities are in this world, and come out of that to help other people. So that's where I was born. I didn't ask. God is responsible. But now what I do with my life afterwards, that is important. And I have done that, and my legacy remains.
That's a good point to make, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and just to add a bit, it reminds me of the point stressed by one famous American author, and John Royce, in his book A Theory of Justice. He described what we call the veil of ignorance. No one knows whether you'll be born black or you'll be born white, or in Africa or in Europe or America. It just comes like by that puzzle. Okay. And so somebody just design a puzzle and just spread it out. Then in oblivion, you just prop up with an African family and a Christian family or a Muslim family or a Caucasian family. So that's it. The veil of ignorance. No one knows where you'll be born. So you don't just judge people by their race, their creed, or their religion.
Yeah.
That's something to put.
Yeah. So I mean, it's newsworthy to mention, somebody part of a successful political, family, and that's a heritage. I mean, it doesn't. It is not something that goes by without mentioning. It has, it's straight up significant. So, but thanks, gentlemen, for the clarity. We will get to we'll get into our discussion right after this.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are around the world, and welcome to 1847 Liberty. I'm Thomas Sarko, and together with my co-host Joseph Irene, we bring you insightful analysis and exclusive interviews of thought leaders from Liberia and around the world. Please stay tuned.
Okay, gentlemen, let's begin with you, Mr. King, as we try to understand the current political dynamics in Liberia. Can we describe how the culture of quid pro quo influences voter behavior in Liberia, and what changes are necessary to shift this mindset?
One of my teachers in school in Liberia was teacher Joseph Seguanu. He used to teach me
Oh,
at Cathedral,
okay.
up the hill. A very respectful person. And no matter when I saw him, I always call him Teacher Guanu because he used to whip us when necessary in the classroom, and he didn't care. But I mentioned that Teacher Guano and I used to speak about this issue in Liberia when he was alive and when I was way back in Liberia at the time working in government. We have to educate the citizens. We have to educate them into understanding what their roles are. Civic responsibility. If they don't know, they cannot exercise it. Now, when I was in Liberia, when you talk about the influence of politics, when I when I worked in the CID as deputy director of police for CID affairs, there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of political influences that came to my office. But I was able to stand strong and resist them because I knew what my civic responsibility was and my responsibility to the citizens of Liberia. In the work that I do right now, I'm teaching the students about their responsibility. Who is the person that you're voting for? What has he done in a community before he comes up for elections? Is he bringing you the rice and oil and fish and all the other things they bring? And then what happens? I even spoke to the political party members. I've written in the in the newspapers, asking all the political parties heads, what are you doing for your constituents? What are you doing for your people who are always standing behind you? Are you educating them? Are you saying about them going to school to learn about the political process, what it is, how a bill is passed, how laws are made? What are they doing? They are responsible. And I told them, and I tell them, if you are a member of any political party that always talking of and Amanda, and doing all this talk behind a political leader, ask them, why don't you send me to school? Because when the political leader gets into power, all of a sudden they want a job. They want to become minister here. They want to become director here. They want to become, but I tell them that the minister, not beg your pardon, the leader of that party is doing them a disservice. And what does that mean? They're making them ineffective. And they're not preparing them for the offices that they want to fill to serve the people. So what we're going to do is we have to educate the church. We have to educate the youth. And we have to also say to the leaders, when one political party is there, the other political party should be providing services, not only because they're a member of your party, but you should provide education, opportunities. Now, when some years ago, a young man wrote in the front page Africa and spoke about the money that are being paid to the senators and representatives right now. So I wrote him and said, look, don't want to compare now. Let's go back 10 years and 20 years. Find out what was done before so you will see a change into why the money is not being directed towards civic education. So your question about how can we break the cycle? It depends on the individuals we place in positions. Who are they? Many times you hear about a particular minister being employed. Okay, let's say John Brown being employed as assistant minister or deputy minister for education or this minister. Everybody starts to clap. Oh, that's a good man. What do you mean a good man? What do you know about the man? Because he had one chicken factory or because he had one store in Banga or Nima, so he's a good man. I mean, he may a good be man, but what does he know about management, about administration in the central government? We have to begin to talk this when we have the opportunity, not just because a person is from your same tribe or because he was your uncle, father, brother, sister, auntie, son, grandma, son, pa, that you should say the man's a good man. What that got to do with anything? We are not critical because we do not know anything about ourselves as an individual. So long ago, there's a Eastern philosopher. He says the, the leader can only be elected according to the light of the masses. You have said that, Mr. Sako, and Mr. Joseph, you have said that also. If the if the light of the masses is low, who you expect them to get? Another low person.
Of
I don't
course.
care how much you put on an African gown and the hat and you wear the slippers and you can talk one dialect, it ain't mean nothing. But we have to educate the youth. We have to educate the citizens. The adults are finished. I tell you, I don't deal with adults. They're finished. We have to deal with the youth of the nation for the next generation. Because you, Mr. Sako, you, Mr. Zizi, and me, we're gonna die.
Yeah.
So what about our children? Who we leaving our children to communicate with and understand the culture of our country? The indigenous, the American Liberia, the this, the that. Does it really have to be? Because those are the things that's impacting our ability to elect proper leaders. We must not fool ourselves. It exists in our country today. Don't let anyone fool you. And we can see it by what's written in the newspaper. Even some of our leaders in the house, they don't know the history of Liberia. They only know what they have been heard over the years. And Bai Timo, the late Bai Timo, wrote in his Murder in the Cassava Patch. But I love the poem. He said, the strength of a nation. I used to talk to Bai T. We all know those people, authors and people of renowned integrity level. We spoke with them. We interacted with them. So I hope I've mentioned something towards, let me give Mr. Zizi a chance to go in because I hope I've mentioned something towards that. And as we progress, maybe things will change.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mr.
yes,
Sako.
yes, you have. Yes, you touched on some very
Okay.
Yep, I'll let
Thank you.
Mr. Zizek continue. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. I listened to you, and I was very attentive. And so, as a corporate planner, you observe, see where things are not moving, then try to make adjustment and monitor how those adjustments are mitigating whatsoever problems that you tend to mitigate. So something came to my mind when you were talking about why these things, why people just take somebody who just have maybe a lay mini mat or a shop and says he wants to be president because he feeds just a few persons, then a few persons amplify that, then other people that have been amplify the other people, and they just overwhelmingly support that person with all fresh reasoning. But it happened. Even though let me just digress a bit. to the Holy Scriptures in terms of a historic context. Remember when Christ fed the 5,000, right away after the people he fed were full, what did they do? They attempted to grab Christ and say, "We'll proclaim you king." So Christ just slipped away from them. So that's the same thing. Someone has the capacity to buy 4-5 bag of rice and just come right here at my alley and just distribute it every time. You will see people that saying, okay, the man should be the community leader, the community chairman. From there, oh, he will be representative because at least, yeah, he does that. So it's just tendency. So if we go back to John Royce, he says something about the principles of discipline. 6 principles of discipline. One that is to be true to yourself. So by nature, when you help somebody, they want to be grateful. That doesn't mean that you use that person's gratefulness to want to rule him. So you have to be true to yourself that this is what I'm doing. It's just a common humanitarian gesture that God made me to help people. But that doesn't mean that even if they ask you to be a president or a community chairman, and you look within yourself that you don't have the skills, the ability, just practice that. Oh, my boy, this is where I can do. Yeah, because it says, seal down your ambition to the point to commiserate to your power base. If your ambition or cloud, if your ambition is clouded around just being a humanitarian, just be there. No one should elevate you from that to say you want to seek the leadership because you're helping and you know within yourself. If you go there, that will not be your area. So that's one thing. We should be true to ourselves. And one we mentioned, Dr. Joseph Sekon, may so rest in peace. I can remember once I was growing up on Liberia Mission, we used to have this cultural series. So the administration used to invite people, permanent person in a society, to come and make speeches. So there was a speech that he did. He said, if corruption is a culture and a culture can change, so corruption should change. In other words, people that have involved themselves into corruption, it has become a culture pandemic. And so once culture can change, corruption is supposed to change. So we must change. Dr. Laura Conan said, changing mind and changing attitude. So I think it's about change. Now, how do we do this? How do we go about the change? You said something that I just want to differ a bit. That when you start to put in public offices, but me, you should start with from the home, like in sociology you have I think 6 institutions, 5: marriage and the family, the religious institution, education institution. So you start from the microcosm in marriage and the family. That a parent should have the responsibility to groom their children. So when they get out there into the public space, you will follow what you will implement those things your parents say. So I think that as you start from the embryonic stage, from home. So most of the time in my home, when my wife and I we having conversation with our kids, if she says anything, I don't like to say, look, remember these children are around us. If they see you looking at white and seeing that it is black, they will follow it. I'm assessed to when we're having conversation and I want to say no, the children are around us. So you're looking at this, it is black, you want to say it's white, they will follow it. So that's where for me it's supposed to start from. They say charity begins at home. Because I see, man, that when he goes to school, he just boycott class, go out, then he fake a grade, the parent can check. Or when a child fails, they say, oh, the teacher failed my child. Then he's teaching the child from one school to the other school. The child failed in 6th grade and go to the next school, you fabricate a grade sheet or a report card, you get a fake how you call it, a transcript, the child goes and get in 7th grade. So that way it starts from. That government can go up at the echelon of administrative apparatus to govern a whole nation, and you're expecting to just be rationally fit and in terms of his character. It will be very difficult. So So if the first culture we should change is that we should be true to ourselves. Yeah. Someone come to you and say, man, you could be community chairman, you must evaluate yourself. You should evaluate yourself and say, no, man, I will not work perfectly as a community chairman or whatsoever. I can work in this or area and so perfectly, and everybody will benefit. So I think that's just what it.
Yeah, that's some good points you've made, gentlemen. Yeah,
I want
sorry.
to add. I just want to add quickly into what Mr. Zizi just mentioned.
Yeah.
Mr. Zizi, just to add to what you not add to re-emphasize what you said. I can remember just one of these. I won't call the name of the president, but one of the presidents after the revolution, the Civil War, called me and asked me if I would like to come in to one of the security branches, intelligence branches in Liberia. I said, thank you, but I am a police law enforcement officer. I am an administrator of public safety. I am not interested. And you see, my training is in presidential security from the United States as well as other areas, the FBI, National Academy. But my training is in law enforcement. So unless you want to put me in policing, where I started my career and ended my career before the Civil War, then thank you, but I'm not interested. I could have easily said yes, but that's not my interest, and my forte is in criminal justice, law enforcement.
Good point. Good point.
But they looked at me. Mr. Zizi, why should I go into an era that is not my forte? But because of, let me go there so I can be Inspector General of Police. That does not bother me. That does not concern me. My concern is serving the people. So that integrity that you mentioned, you have to be true to yourself. I was true to myself, and I am true to myself. So I just wanted to mention that, Mr. Zizi.
Thank you.
Yeah,
so, but how many of us? The question is, how many of us can? I want to know about how many of us can be true to ourselves, to our children, so that that thing can be permeated throughout the society, where everybody will be true to themselves. That's a challenge. So, in my subsequent years, when I started doing academic work, because now I just do fictional writing, because of job, and so fiction will not just tie you to doing adequate research for someone else to debunk. So when I start when I'm doing academic works, those are the questions we'll be asking. We'll ask experts to explain how can we spread the culture of being true to ourselves for the first place, to be true to ourselves, to our children. If a child fails,
I can tell you that
in school, your child fails. Yes. If your child passes,
as a transformational coach, as a transformational and self-empowerment coach, that's what I do. And we would discuss that at the proper time when Mr. Sako bring it in.
Okay, gentlemen, you've raised some very good points, and I like that part about who you are. Our late great uncle, whose favorite quote from Socrates was "Know thyself."
Know thyself, yes.
Know your limitations, know who you are. Do not flatter yourself. And most of the time, our politicians take advantage of the desperation.
That's it.
Today. People are desperate. People are really hungry. People, they've been deprived for too many years. So it is easy for guys to come and just take advantage of them, with favors and buy their votes. And to your point, both gentlemen, about being true to oneself, I have a story, like an example of one of my colleagues from the United Nations. When I was at the UN, UNAOC program in New York, I had this colleague of mine from the Republic of Congo, a young guy. Back then we were in our 20s. And he is a very popular guy back in Kinshasa, in his city. And because he's involved in these community organizing activities, he's a youth activist, a well-known guy. And when he went back, when he returned from the program in New York, a group of the youth, the young people from Kinshasa gathered and started petitioning this guy to run for, city mayor. And he was very gracious in his response. He told them that, I really appreciate the confidence that you have in me, but I must admit that I'm flattered. I feel flattered. I'm not ready yet. This is a good.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
good recognition.
Yeah, yeah, and
that I can do it, but I think I need to prepare myself more, and that's what we should be doing. And I do have a lot of friends too who come to me with similar suggestions, and I'm quickly I quickly dismiss those kinds of suggestions like not ready yet. I'm not there yet. I'm still a work in progress. So that's a good point. We have to be honest with ourselves. We have to be true to ourselves if we want to move our country further. But gentlemen, let's move on to another area of our discussion. Let's look at the cycle of accountability. All right. So how do you, let's start with you, Mr. Zize. How do you perceive the relationship between public officials' actions and public trust in governance? What steps can be taken to break the cycle of exploitation of public funds?
Well, the first thing is being a public official should be followed by responsibility. Yes, because my late father used to tell me, by example, they should be led. So you, as a public official, your character should mirror your surroundings and the people that look at you every day, those that observe you. So it has to do with the responsibilities. You cannot be a public official, then you are seen wrong, then you backing wrong. Or besides that, a public official drives in a community, turns on his AC, stays to where he went for hours, and the car is beating, no one inside, which suggests a waste. Then other people outside looking at you. So the next thing, someone who wants to be a public official will think the same way. If I get there, I will do the same thing. But if a public official goes to a community and he mistakenly drops a dead and picks it up himself, oh my God, sorry, that will reflect mirroring your image and upholding the responsibility of that office you occupy. So that's it. It's just about the responsibility one exercise when he's occupying a public office, so that the next man must know when he gets there, he should be just like you. But if you start abusing power at 1 p.m., you're not coming from official function, you're in your assigned official vehicle. Somebody aspiring to be like you, exactly the person will do the same. So it's about responsibility in upholding public office. Remember that you are bearing, your country has selected you to represent it in certain areas. So sometimes in my line, the work, if I'm going out to represent my country, those are things I think about. Yeah, etiquette. So that they say, yes, Liberian public officials are XYZ. Yeah, you ask questions. You just behave because you are carrying the weight of your country. But most times I see public feature. Yeah, when I go outside of the country, the way they behave, people see us as unserious people. Or when you have foreign guests, people who can decide your country's survival as it is, come, you work along with them. That burden should be upon you to amplify the responsibility you have. Or else, I've seen several times photo features when international guests come, they ask you certain questions, you just lackadaisically respond before any seriousness. They ask for the information to go and analyze it, help your country. You see people reluctant. And those are the kind of responsibility. But when it comes to me in that land, forget it. I can do my best so that now I'm not going by my country. Oh, Mr. Z, SYZ institution. We went there, he worked along with him. He was perfect, he was professional. He provided whatever he wants by law, what the law says. That's it. So it's just responsibility. So we should do that. The public officials should do that. Yeah.
Yeah, let's bring in Mr. King. Mr. King, do you have any?
Well, Mr. Zizi and I thinking alike. I never met him, but we have the same focus. If the head of state, you know, we all know the saying, fish die rotting from the head.
Yes.
We've heard that before. If the president of a country can say, if you steal and you bring the money back to the country, it's okay. That's a problem with me.
Yeah, it's a problem.
That's a problem. Yep.
Yes.
You are sanctioning illegal activity. You are sanctioning a criminal act.
Of course.
And that is not good. Because you see, it's just like in criminal law, in criminal investigation, the fruit of the poisonous tree. If something is illegal in the beginning, in the court of law, you can't use anything that comes from it. And you see, I tell you all that I'm mixed with criminal law, constitutional law, because that's my background. So if the head of state, I didn't say, they say, he said it in public. We all heard it. That, well, if you steal and you bring the money back, it's okay. No, it's not okay. So
it's not okay. Definitely not okay.
And if it starts at the top, it means, look, and I'm sorry to bring this up, but I'm just trying to show where it ties into what Mr. Zizi was saying and what we are trying to arrive at. When I was head of the CID, I told my agents, first of all, when the president of Liberia called me, President Robert, and said, I want you to go to the CID to straighten it up. Before I said yes, I said, Mr. President, I want you to know I'm building my house and I'm buying my car up front before you even send me there.
Yes.
So he said to me, oh, you declare your asset. I said, yes, sir, because I know. Because you see, I've been in the police force since 1965 when I joined as a cadet. And at the police academy for 9 months, chopping grass, cutting the grass, running up and down, and being disciplined. So I told my agents, I want you all to know that the day you find me in any type of corrupt practice, if you do not arrest me, you are no damn good. I said it like that in a public meeting, and the members are still around. You can ask anybody, go on the internet and ask about who used to work under the administration of Mr. Charles Ebuka. He will tell you, I told him that. So now if I tell you to arrest me when you find anything, now you know what will happen when I catch you. Yes or no? So you see, it has to start from you, a person with integrity, as Mr. Zizi mentioned. It has to be, who are you? Who are you? Your family name. And what are you not afraid of? I will tell you the second point that illustrates Mr. Zizi's point. The judge of one of the courts, I can't remember, it's been more than 30 some more years now, but the judge of one of the courts sent a habeas corpus writ to the CID to produce the body and to have the director of CID, together with all the agents involved, report to the courthouse. When I got the summons, my orderly brought it to me. I said, okay. He said, but chief, you will go? I said, but of course I will go. What's wrong with you? The judge has sent for the director of CID, and that's me, together with all my agents involved in such and such a case. We're going. He said, but chief, the other people used to get it, they never used to go. I said, but I respect the law. You see, you mentioned, Mr. Zizi, a certain ethics when you were talking.
Yes.
The law enforcement code of ethics is, as a law, and I'm not reading it, it's here. As a law enforcement officer, my fundamental duty is to serve mankind, to safeguard life and property, to protect the innocent against deception, the weak against violence and disorder, and to respect the constitutional rights of all men to liberty, equality, and justice. Now, I close my eye because I'm not reading. I want you to understand where I'm coming from, and the people who are listening to understand. And it goes further. I recognize the badge of my office as a symbol of public trust.
Trust.
To be held only if I am true to the ethics of the police service, dedicating myself before God and to my chosen profession, law enforcement. Now, if I know and that's the first and the last, they got two more in between. I didn't even read that one yet because I won't go to time. But if I recognize those two, then what is the question of my integrity of taking public funds? That's not that for me. If you mentioned the ethics, I didn't bring up. You mentioned
ethics, yes.
So you mentioned how can we stop the misuse of funds? Is that we must establish people in government, choose people in government who have track record of integrity.
Yes.
Dealing with public funds, man.
Yes. Yes. And I like how you bring in a lot of examples on about your time in public service, and talking
Mr.
about
Mr. Sako, and Mr. Zizi,
Uh-huh.
the freaker man said, "Which place you to come out?" I want you. The thief man will not tell you where he coming from because he don't want you to go check behind him. Isn't that correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Isn't that correct, Mr. Zizi?
It's correct.
I want you to go check behind me. Man. I want you to
also
go
research already.
Because one of the definitions of integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is looking.
Yes.
Yeah, even when no one is looking.
But the Liberian definition of integrity is doing the right thing when someone is looking. But the person, when that person turns his face on the opposite side, and he starts doing the wrong thing.
So before we move on to,
he said something that I want to stress on something. Are we noticing the surge in resisting police arrest, in mob justice, and those kinds of things in these times in our country? That it has been perennial, but it is now surging.
It's on an increase.
Yes. So it makes me want to hypothesize that the more the leader shows by example, the more the follow his followers or the citizens or the governed will follow suit.
That's correct.
Yeah,
seriously, because we see from the top there were a lot of decisions that have been made in terms of sideline Supreme Court ruling, and so people don't have trust now. Say you are doing that, go to the Supreme Court, executive branch can say something, and it will just be that kind of way. So that you see, just notice the violence now in terms of police, citizen against police against citizen, it's just all over. Because of that simple thing, that simple mistake, the highest arbiter of justice of the land was just being downplayed. You see how people taking it. It's a theory, or hypothesis. It has to be tested to see whether it's right or wrong. But I'm just hypothesizing. It may be wrong, but it may also be right. Or we don't know if we do the hypothesis, we'll come up with an answer. Maybe it will lead us to different answer and see. But we can see the level of violence nowadays. So they always say, as a leader, you have to be responsible. You have to exemplify your responsibility so
Heavy
that
is
your
the head
follower
that wears
can follow you
crown.
and look at you and say, yeah, this is our leader will follow you. But you find a leader on the other side going to take one or two drugs, then definitely you will find people selling drugs all over the country or marijuana all over the country. But you
Yeah,
see, as it is now, a leader is stamping out the illicit use of drugs, and so everybody will be afraid. But
yeah,
another thing is you do it, you should be sustained every day. Mount that pressure, mount that pressure.
The
So if
consistency.
that's a person can be arrested, you're gonna be arrested, but you see,
You
the
see, when
the illicit use now will try to herb, it will start to herb, herb, herb. Then now, as it continues, it becomes a culture now that I can take the thing. So
yeah,
we change. That's
okay,
it.
gentlemen. Before we move on to our next talking point, I always like to bring in these little anecdotes, yeah,
Mhm.
anecdotes, little stories to, you know, illustrate some of the, the points that I make in my commentary. I talked about, on the cycle of on breaking the cycle of exploitation of public funds. I was just thinking about what I mentioned in my commentary about Liberian leaders and Liberian citizens alike in general. We admire other countries, other more ideal, form of democracies, and but it is just so hard for us to emulate those people that we admire. I don't know why it's like that. So to the extent that even when some of those folks, people from the West, the countries that we admire, when they come to Liberia, and see the way we conduct ourselves, they can be in shock, complete culture shock. And I have an
Yeah.
example when I was very young and working in Liberia at a certain government, public aid and public a government agency, I would say. And then we had a board of directors. This guy is a career politician who's worked in government all his life, no business, no. I mean, he can point to any personal business to tell you this is how I, acquire my wealth. And we had these foreign partners, management contractors, and I was tasked with the responsibility of, showing them around. We're doing a tour, and then we pay of courtesy visit to the chairman of the board, his home, Conga Town. And this guy is Canadian citizen, Canadian guy who was head of the management team. And when he saw the house, he was shocked. Our house, yeah. And he started pacing, walking around, just looking. He was in awe. He was outstruck. Like he was like, what? I wonder where did he get the money from to build this kind of property?
Yeah.
He was in shock, And he started this guy. He said, "Oh, this guy been in public service almost his entire life, But look at the marks on this guy has erected, So oftentimes when those people who we really admire and that we struggle so hard to be, it's so challenging for us to emulate them, for us to replicate some of the good practices that we see them do in their respective countries. When they come to our countries and see the way we conduct ourselves, they can be
Mr. Sako, because there's no check and balances.
there's no
There's
check.
no check and balances. When a person is given, is supposed to be appointed for a position.
Yes.
When you do a background, first of all, you declare your assets. When you declare your assets, you put it in private. No. Declare your assets in public so everybody can know. Don't hide nothing. Declare it in public.
Yes.
Once you want a public office. Now, if you don't want public office, that's your private business. But once you are coming into public, declare your assets. No secrecy there.
Yeah.
When you come inside and you show us where you live, one bedroom or 2-bedroom house, 1 floor, and you got one old raggedy car. When you come in, then in 1 year, when we see you get one big house, then we want to know where the money coming from.
You're gonna
That's
audit.
the bottom line.
Yeah.
In order to cut it, you got to cut it. But now when you get your auditors and all the auditors begin to be found dead, they're being killed, they're being assassinated, things going on, and you head of a country and you don't take you don't take that as ever. You say, I'm sorry, I'm talking from a criminal back investigator background. law enforcement, public safety, you got to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
And if you allow all that to happen, then you're condoning it. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, it has to
That's
start.
the bottom
It has to
line.
start with political will.
But who has the
Yes,
political
yes.
will to do
And
that?
one thing about that is that we have the kind of negative sympathy. Negative sympathy. Look, I watch or I witness or I observe a situation that occurred recently. A group of persons were held accounted for misdemeanors. As soon as the issue of rapping men became serious, the level of sympathy for these persons grew. The level of sympathy for the persons grew. So any attempt to say, well, but these people were wrong, forget it. Then you are siding with the rapping men for moving the bribe, them taking bread from the mouths of those persons who were to be
held accountable.
yeah, kind of. So you see, so and that is growing, and it has been existing over time. I can remember once
Yes. Yes.
in
So what do we
President
do about
Salih's
it?
second term, she said, I said, oh, this country, sometimes you won't take action, but you know, say, hey, leader person that
That culture of impunity.
yeah, that culture of I would describe as negative sympathy. But in my academic words, we start looking for Google words,
It will
it
continue.
just generally negative
So when do we
sympathy.
stop? When do
Why
we
would people commit certain offense? Then the law, they want to be punished by the law. Then a group of people that align to them will say no.
Yeah, and it has to do. It has to do with the desperation that I talked about. Those people, those sympathizers are sometimes the direct beneficiaries, of the funds that the person you mentioned,
Yeah.
steal from the government. So when and that's what I said. Because of desperation, these people they go in there unchecked, enrich themselves, use
come
the
out
cycle
unchecked.
continues, right? They use the same funds to go and give gifts to these desperate people who look at them with so much gratitude and start to consider them benevolent philanthropists, good people.
So
good man, oh, the man, he did this for us. No, but you don't even know where the money came from.
And so one thing that we need, one culture that we need to change in respect to that, we have a tendency of putting public officials in a dilemma that if he doesn't pay for to support his supporters will say he's mean, he's done nothing. If that elected position will gain out. Now, if he supports his supporter by pay for it again, right? And pay for it again, he will be liable, he will be labeled or what? Criminal or thief. And so let's talk so and talk so. The public officials are in a dilemma. In a dilemma to save his job, save his knee, and also looking at the fact that if he does it, the risk involved. If he does it negatively, his reputation will be tarnished. So sometimes too, the pressure can make the public official pay for the coffers and do his supporters. If he remains straight, I can remember once during the Ellington or public official when she dismissed every one of them one time and says you reapply something, the public official refused to reapply. So we used to go at the SKD to do some exercises. So while he was there, the public official that refused to abide by what the president said was at the SKD complex. So he was surrounded by people. So he was explaining his stuff. As soon as he left, somebody in the group said, "Well, but I think the president wanted to target somebody indirectly in jail to all the cabinet minister to resign. Why? You got vexed. You come and lose. You come to lose your job." And so, in fact, he's foolish. People are saying that. You see that? a public official work in an office or certain position of integrity for a number of years, and after that, he honorably retire. He goes to his house, and people passing and see that he hasn't changed his zinc for a number for certain time. They get rusted. They say, but he was over there. What did he do?
Yes.
So,
But
so that culture of putting our public official in that dilemma needs to change also.
no, but Mr. Zeze,
Yeah.
Mr. Sago, Mr. Zeze, when
Yeah.
you say putting a public official in a dilemma,
Mm.
that's a, let's look at it, because this is what the
Okay.
discussion is all about.
Yeah.
If you say to put him in a dilemma, what are
Uh,
you putting him in a dilemma of? Because he's supposed to be serving the people.
Yeah,
He
but
didn't
in
go
that
there for his
dilemma,
own
yeah, I
benefit.
agree.
Supposed to do the right
Mr.
thing.
In that dilemma, instead of him putting in the dilemma to serve them honorably and legally, but putting in the dilemma to go the extra mile and take what you don't have and what don't belong to what
Oh,
don't belong
okay.
to him. So yeah, so that's
Okay,
the dilemma I'm talking about.
I think Mr. Zeze's point here is has to do with the expectation of the Liberian
Okay.
people. As I
Okay.
stated in my commentary, right?
It's okay.
The people will make mockery of public officials who, when they retire and appear broke, they'll make mockery of them. Oh, but this guy is broke. He served as minister of state. Why is he broke? So that expectation, I think that's why Zeze
And
is trying to.
someone told me a few months ago that my Jeep I drive, that I need a teacher now. He doesn't know my salary. He doesn't know when I bring my salary home, my expenditure. Then why will he there to get a brand new Jeep? You see that? So you are trying, you're putting me now in a dilemma. Sometimes when my car is spoiled and I have to walk on the road, go get tired and say, oh, Mr. Where the car? You walking?
So yeah, but
That's when integrity comes in.
and that's when you're supposed to be saving your money.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you talk about dilemma, and I put it a different way. The low expectation from the people, but that's where integrity should come in. Like, even if people are expecting you to wrongfully, use public funds, and you know what is right. So, as a person with integrity, as an honest person, cares so much about his country, you would do the right thing. You would do the right thing, even if your decisions don't turn out to be popular with the community. With the community you represent, your constituency. Do the right thing. Liberia requires one man standing up with what we say, the backbone, to just do the right thing, to just make some unpopular decisions. That's what we need. One strong man.
We need that too.
Positive sense.
You need a person like Jerry Rollins.
It should be like an
of the word. The Kagame, the Jerry Rowland,
you need.
Yeah.
It should be balanced. In as much as we have public officials should have high expectation of doing the right thing. People, his followers too, should also ensure that he does the right thing. You can be coming to that person's house in the morning and say your daughter graduating, you not get school fees, you not get anyone expect the man to just go into a salary while he has a family to. So it should be both ways.
But they
So
don't
it
know
won't change our culture to ensure that public officials should be accountable and responsible to
okay, gentlemen. Let me
people too should get to know that.
Joseph,
yes.
Let me come in real quick. That's built on what we've already discussing. Let's move on to, let's look at comparative leadership. We talk about countries that Liberia look up to. We consider some of those countries as heaven on earth, literally. And so let's look at how we can draw some example. What key leadership qualities do you believe are essential for a leader in Liberia to overcome the challenges posed by pervasive corruption?
Oh, that's a tough one. But firstly, looking for qualities in a leader, the condition firstly should be available. Number one, the education. In fact, that the education should be in the middle. We should look at the grooming from infancy to adulthood. The environment should also have a part. Well, in school, we used to say environment is stronger than heredity. Yeah, so the environment. So long environment is messed up. Forget it. Yeah. So I play we should start from the environment. The environment should I mean look in about how many years God allowed the Israelis to die out before they went to the promised land.
yeah.
That is not easy. There were generations. The crazy about God Himself. It took generations to wipe out after they crossed the Red Sea. It took generations to wipe the people out. So it's the same thing. So as you begin from the environment, you clean the environment with people with upstanding behavior that can influence the ones that are growing up to take after the old ones and then from there the other ones to exert that those qualification will be easy because with all of that environment with that ratting, excuse me for that expression, ratting environment, the man gets 4 or 5 degree. He goes up there, it will be the same because he heard it from the environment. So it should be our environment. Everybody should be, when I say brother's keeper, yeah, make sure that this thing, what I'm doing, it will affect my children tomorrow, it will affect the next man's children tomorrow because that children, his children, and my children can play. So if I start doing like this, so I can be, that there are certain parents, when they're on the phone now, he said, "Oh, my man, how far?" He said, "Yes, I read behind the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Your children looking at you in your home. You have noticed that you want a phone, you want to, for security reason, you want to hide yourself. Take your phone, go out for your children to not know that you're lying to somebody, or you're knocking teacup. Yeah, man, I drinking tea now with the Minister of Finance, man. So I'll just call you, general, knocking the cup for the other person." On the other side of the land, yeah, and your children, your young children are there looking at you doing you know kind of thing. Then the children going to play with the neighbors' children and start to develop those kind of deceptive attitude. So those are the environment. We have to clean the environment. How do we do that? The churches. I mean, people, we should innovative means like some of the things when you're in Liberia, those are things I used to do like what you call or social entrepreneurial stuff. But if you do those things, who can support them? The knowledge is not there. You know, we start from the area, try to groom the children, the parents too. The things you do, your children will follow that. They will go to the next children. So once the environment is clean, then you can get your degree and thing. Then definitely you will be well suited, exhibiting etiquette to perform your public responsibility for the betterment of your country. But once
Yes,
the
thank you.
environment is messed up,
Yes, thank you. Let's bring in Mr. King. Mr. King, given your experience working both in the U.S. and Liberia, what key leadership characteristics or qualities can we learn from the U.S. Leaders like Obama that everybody adore and admire? What can we learn from those leaders and replicate in our own setting? What can our leaders learn from those leaders, such as Obama?
You also have some of the African leaders of the past that
Okay,
had strong
thank you.
principles and
Mhm,
integrity. Kwame
mhm.
Nkrumah, Nnamdi
mhm,
Ezekwe, Edward
Yes.
Bonnet. Now, they all had their own individual issues, but we're talking about those people who led their countries out of colonialism.
Okay.
Those are strong examples. Nelson Mandela,
Hmm.
those are strong people. I noticed with them, their focus was on the people. Their focus was on the people. The focus was on understanding the predicament that the individual nations face with regards to being a former colonial power. I was in Nigeria during the Nigeria Civil War, the Biafran War. Liberia played a very important role in bringing that to cessation. Togoland and Dahomey, Liberia played a part in the independence of Togo. My father, Sitio King, was head of the was chairman of the Togoland and Dahomey, and what they brought was a level of integrity, a sense of responsibility, and a desire to focus for the people. That's what we need in Liberia. We need people who are community focused, who are development focused. When we went abroad for studies, when I came abroad for studies, and all of those in my age group from way back before the Civil War or before the Dole administration, we didn't come over here to study to stay. We came over here to study to go back to our countries. And if you did an analysis of all those who came, did Harry Nguyen and all those Kessely, all those other people who came to study, they wanted to go back home. That's where we went. That's why some of us only, not everyone needs a doctorate degree, because a doctorate degree carries a certain level. And not everyone needs a master's degree to do certain things. You have a bachelor's degree, which gives you this stability to administer and move on forward. So again, nothing wrong with a master's degree, but I'm saying we didn't come here to stay. We came here to study and went back home quickly to jump into developing our country. Okay, so the country, the focus was on Talbot wanted development. Talbot wanted development. Now, each administration has their particular issues. But remember, each administration builds on the next. The next. Some, that old saying that they have in Liberia, I know Mr. Zize and you, Mr. Sako, J.J. Roberts didn't finish it, so I can't finish it.
I can't finish it, yeah.
So you see, when we hear the young people, or when hear some of the old people say that, you have to say, quite correct. J.J. Roberts was not supposed to finish it.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's supposed to be a work in progress. Yep.
They were only exactly, sir. They were only supposed to take it at another level. Now, when each president takes it at another level, you must elect a president who can carry it further. But you can't say J.J. Roberts didn't finish it, so therefore we're not going to finish it. No. The concept here is each one took it at a different level and left it for the next person. If you didn't like an agreement that was signed or a policy that was done, when the time comes, you organize it and take it to the next level. So we need people with vision. We need people with the future of Liberia to show the future of Liberia. We need people to impart this image to the rest of the people.
Yeah.
Because if they do not have an image, a city is lost.
Yeah.
If you do not have a focus, the city is lost. So you have to bring a philosophy. People who understand what development is, what developmental planning is. Not someone who goes away and say, well, because I worked in the aviation industry as a mechanic, I can become head of the Robertsfield Airport, and you go see the person. When you have people who are, and I'm glad you're listening, whoever listening, listen. When you have people like Richardson, who's a pilot, when you have people like Prince Page, who were professional pilots who used to fly the Westward and in those short airplanes, those are the people you're supposed to contact and ask questions, not the little people around you, because there's the politics of expertise and politics of people around you. And if you have and only listen to the people around you, you messed up. Let me tell you that as an administrator, you messed up. You got to go outside your circle. Let people tell you that you stink, where your other people will not tell you that you stink. When the people talked about the Monrovia being dirty, oh, the whole government gets up. The Monrovia is dirty. It stinks. Admit it. Now, as a leader, I teach my students that I teach that when you in whatever party you're in, I don't care. That's not my business. But when you get in a position and you want to be someone in responsibility. If you become a mayor of your community, your little town, and the people say, "Oh, they play daddy," those get vexed with it. They can't show me. Let me go clean it. That's what you're there for. And when the senators and representatives complain and say the government should do this, the government should do that, in like, but they are the government. What the hell didn't do it for?
They are the government.
They make it appear as though the executive or some
The
other branch,
executive, yeah.
you approve the minister.
And gentlemen, it is true that it's true that we need leaders with certain attributes. But then, how do we get those leaders when the people who are supposed to be selecting or electing those leaders do not even know the difference between the qualified and the not so qualified? So that takes us to our next talking point. It comes to mindset change. So
Yes.
how can we shift the mindset of the electorate, when it comes to understanding their civic responsibility, to one of which includes to thoroughly evaluate candidates that are vying for public office, looking at track record, proven track record, integrity and honesty, okay, and vision, instead of just looking at the immediate gratification they provide, immediate gifts, that transactional way of dealing in politics. What are some strategies can we use to help change our people's mindset?
Mr. Zeze, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going. Okay, so the first thing there is of planning is to just, conduct an inquest, maybe a neurological analysis of Liberians and how they perceive governance, or who among them should be the right person. We don't do that other psycho analysis test and come up. We may get some findings, and for no findings, we turn out what the expert to start working on these. Maybe from ABC to 12th grade, if the person have already become immersed in a sport environment, it comes to 12th grade, at that point, you start to break some of the things that those matter days you learn from the community up to 12th grade and going to college, and see whether you can work. You do a longitudinal studies to change our whole perception of who is really a leader. That's the thing. There should be a conference where we can bring experts together and just analyze. Analyze why we chose leaders that did not mean well for us. Yes, try to check, ask questions, deep questions. Let people bring that out. You can do or stratify random sampling across and just take a few samples. Maybe some interview 500,000, 5,000 persons from across the country. Yeah, and give you meaningful questions. Then you analyze the questions and see. Meaningful answers. You analyze the answers and see the common pattern. Then you turn it over to the expert responsible now to look at methods, ways, and means as to how that we can break that perception of who is the right person to become your leader. Actual awareness, but then you start growing. Because for us at this time now, they say you can teach all those new tricks, but it will also be, you will also find means to mitigate the risks from the older ones. But the ones that are coming up, you have to guide maybe a 25-year plan or 50-year plan that can be carried out, so that in the future the country can be safe from such bad practice. So I think that's the only way. Just growing awareness may not be sufficient. James Young, in his creed of a community developer, said, Ask people what they want. So ask them what's the problem. When you get there, you give it to the experts responsible. You start grooming them. Out from the 6th grade, because you're not too bad from the community. Start grooming them. Go into the curriculum. She has made us to recite the 20th Psalm. It's part of us today. So he made him to I mean, when you get it, so the problem now, they do answer, you get an expert, the design means from 6th grade up, all the way to 12th grade. One person enters the university where he coming to play his role in a larger society now, then you will see some difference in the way our generation behaves. I think that's it.
Okay, so Mr. King, let's build on Mr. Ziz's input. So let's look at initiatives for civic engagement. What role does civic engagement play in shaping responsible citizens, and how can it be improved in Liberia's education system? I think that's a good place to begin from the schools. So how can we integrate these kinds of teachings into our existing curriculum?
It has to start by making the materials available to all the school children, and you start from a certain age level. And I'm not in education at that level. The proper person who is well qualified for that can let you know at what grade they're supposed to start. But from what I have been working with is introducing civics to all the schools in Liberia. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You have to get the books. You can't say, well, we don't have no money for books. Find the money for books. That's what you're a minister of education for. Find the money. They didn't tell you to get there to say, well, we don't have this and we don't have that. You're supposed to find it. So I believe, and I agree with Mr. City, that we should start from the school level era to let them know civics. They will learn about their government. They will learn about how government works. They will understand social issues. They will understand legal issues. And they will understand Liberia in a greater portion of Africa, and then learn how Liberia plays in the greatest portion of the world. Because everything that we do affects the world economy. Some of the children that I work with, some of the youth that I work with say, oh, but Mr. King, you mean what we do something here affects the people in America or England? I say, of course. The world is connected. It's not a separate thing, Liberia separate, no. Because we also played a very important part in the war, the World War II. If Liberia wasn't used as a stepping point, it would be very difficult for the Western and Allied forces to go into and General Patton to go in with Hitler to take over that area to fight. So we played a very strategic part, but they are not aware of this. They're only narrowing into Liberia. Liberia is bigger than this one view that they're looking at. We are a metropolitan. We are a country from nationalities from all over Africa, because during the slave trade and the North Atlantic slave trade, they brought us here. They brought people from all over. So now, therefore, what do you know about your country? What do you know about the country you want to lead? What do some of the representatives know about their country? Miss Carl Famula can tell you about the different counties. Some people know, I'm from Grand Jita. I'm from Sano. When she gets through you will find out where you're from.
I need to have a conversation with Miss Carl.
She will tell you where you're from. How many people know what the word Gil means historically? It means slave, Gil. But you will say, oh, Mr. King, I didn't know. But read the book, man. Read. Study your country. You won't be minister or representative. What do you know about your country, your country that you say you're from? Because you probably don't even know really where you're from. So we have to educate for those well for those in the youth who want to come up, we have to educate them. Me, I don't have no confidence in the adult right now because they don't want to find out. When you have people in representative positions getting up there and making come talk to graduates and talking to them about this, and they get up and talk something that is incomplete about the history of their own country. Something's wrong. Why do not want to find out? And for any one of you, Mr. Zeze, Mr. Sako, if you can get Miss Carl Farmerland, do you know Miss Carl Farmerland, Mr. Zeze?
No, no.
Oh well, you got to find out. But I
Oh,
will send you some materials, and Mr. Sako, yeah, that is the woman, a young lady, together with Dr. Patrick Burroughs. Have you heard of Dr. Carl Patrick Burroughs?
yes.
You
Yeah,
have Mr.
we need to
Zeze, have you
establish
heard of him?
contact with those individuals so that we can further this
Yeah.
conversation. But gentlemen, our time is fast spent. I mean, we have a lot of material to cover, but
Okay, I'm
unfortunately, we
finished.
don't have enough time to cover everything. I think we'll turn this into a series. But before we wrap up, let's consider a factor here. Let's consider a point that I want to make. I think I studied this somewhere in economics, something called normative versus positive. What is and what ought to be. So everything we're discussing here, government needs to do this, education ministry needs to allocate funds for this. So that's what ought to be in the ideal world, right? But what is happening right now is a fact that those people who ought to be doing what they should be doing are not doing it. So what now? What now can we do as concerned citizens, civil society, NGOs? What can we do? And I'm calling on all the civil society organizations, all the non-for-profit organizations, all the well-intentioned citizens of Liberia who care so much about the growth and prosperity of our nation. What can we do to undertake? What can we undertake to promote a transparent governance and accountability in especially our electoral processes? Gentlemen, do you have any ideas?
Well, the citizens should first get together and examine themselves first, then look among them and sincerely select those that they can prepare tomorrow. I mean, sincerely, not because that person is going there to help pay your daughter rent, no, but that person that we select is going there to help all in the country at large. So citizens can get together and draft a set of criteria. If we want this person, the person should be like this. Then we start searching. We find that person. We know that you're eligible and capable. We try to guide you. When you won't go wrong, tell me, man, you're a future leader. Don't do this. Don't do that. We're supporting you because we know what you can do. So that's it. If God Christ asks people, who do you think I am? So that self-evaluation, so you can look at the person and evaluate them. Say, no, you're going wrong, but you got this potential. So that's the only way, because it's not easy. But we have to be serious about this.
Well, my input here, would be we have to be able to get the president of Liberia into a conversation where we can let him know what is the state from what we see, what is happening in Liberia, and how let him know that it's time for him to take a decisive step towards reevaluating the people that he places in government. Also, to have some sort of a conversation with the national legislature, because they're the ones that, with the advice and consent of the Senate, they're the ones that have to be given perhaps a new life to. They they have to be given the opportunity to learn the history of the country that they're leading. Because anything you start outside, if it's not under their understanding, they will block it from the legislature. If the president is not informed objectively, without the filter of those that are around him, this will continue. What the president needs to do is establish a forum, maybe once or twice, once a month or once every 3 months, where he can be on the internet. He don't have to go anywhere. Nobody has to travel nowhere. Let him get a list of people, right? And he has to have not the normal people who are around him who can filter. I'm not talking no people around him. He has to get someone from outside his circle who will be able to receive the names of contributors to that conference so that he can meet with all of us who are interested in saying something constructively and let him know where he's failing. Not all the good stuff to say, well, Mr. President, you're doing good. No, that's not what is necessary. We must be able to tell the president where he is failing. That's it. So he don't owe us nothing, and we don't owe him nothing except to be objective. This is what he needs to do, and he needs to do it soon, sooner than later. Let him set up a forum. Look, the people in the international community, you've been in the UN, they have conferences all over the world. You think they fly over the place now? They sit down and they have the video camera and they talk. This is what this president needs to do. He needs to get a forum. He shouldn't have none of the doggone ministers around. None of them. He should just listen to all the inputs coming in. The second thing is he should establish in each of the ministries, a forum whereby people can send in recommendations about how to improve the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Transport, the Ministry of this, the Ministry of that. Then what he does is he get young university graduates who have some understanding of international relations or who understands a certain level of education to analyze all those recommendations that have come in at those various ministries and ideas and bring this to his attention. So when he has his cabinet meeting, he can say, okay, Mr. Minister of Agriculture, okay, Mr. Minister of Transport, what have you done with the input that have come in from all over the world, Liberians, about how to improve your ministry? Because I have it here. And I have spoken to other people about what was written. What have you done about it? Well, Mr. President, you see, we haven't. What do you mean you haven't had time? Well, I have to go to so. Go where? That way you got your deputy ministers for your assistant. Send them. Let them go out. You answer my question here. And when you see this done in his hand, he says, I'm giving you from now until so-and-so time to get this done. That's what the president needs to do. But he is being filtered. All this thing is being filtered from him. When you want to see the president, they delay. And I know people who have been like you want to see the president, they delay him. They don't tell the president the same thing. I know what I'm talking about because as assistant director for SSS in Liberia, I've been around the corridors of powers. I can see and hear when people come to do something and what the ministers don't tell the president. So no one can tell me anything else, man. I'm talking from experience here. So that's what President Boycott needs to do. He needs to set up a forum so he can get people who are responsible, who have inputs to listen to what we have to say. Let him see it and hear it. And he has this university people who's supposed to be smart. Let him jot all those things down. Well, anything can be recorded anyway. So he can record and play back all these recommendations. And then he calls his ministers in and discuss it with them. Yes, and then the people who have made a recommendation, let them come in. Because we can talk. I have made my services available all the time. But you think the Inspector General Police or anybody there will pick up the phone to call Mr. King? They think I want the job? That's what they think in Liberia. If they have to call someone to act, that's ridiculous. International, we don't want a job there because they can't even pay me in the first place. So what the hell they want? I'm giving them ideas, but
Yes,
they
sir.
haven't picked up the phone to even call.
Yes, sir.
So
So
that's
that's
what
why
I'm saying that they should do. Now that's the practical thing I'm telling you to do.
thank you very much, sir. That's why we'll continue to use our medium, platforms such as ours to continue to sound the alarm. If we cannot get directly to the president, we use the tools that we have.
But he himself, Mr. Tamasako, he
Mhm.
himself should not avoid the internet. That's the way of the world now. So
Yes. So
in order
we
for
are
him to
hoping.
be informed,
We are
he
hoping. We are
he,
hoping.
he
Sorry.
should be informed.
Yes,
He
sir.
should be able to get on the internet and say, "Let me hear what my people are saying."
Yes, sir. Yes,
That's
sir.
what he should do as a leader.
Thank you
Let
very
me
much,
hear
Mr.
what
King.
my people are saying.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much, Mr. King. Uh,
I'm sorry about that, but that's it.
yeah, I mean, you make a good point. You made a good point, Mr. King. Like I said, we will come back to it. Maybe turn this into a series so we can come back. I mean, there's more to to take, so we need to pick your brain more. So we will come back with another segment. But as we come to the end of today's discussion, I want to take a moment to express our deepest gratitude to our incredible panelists. Your insights and diverse perspectives have truly enriched our conversation and provided invaluable information to our audience. Thank you for sharing your expertise, your experiences, and passion on the subject we've tackled today. Your ability to thoughtfully um, engage with each other continues to set the gold standard for debate and public discourse. And we are so grateful for your contributions.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Yes.
Thank
So
you.
before we wrap up today, let's take a moment to reflect on the bigger picture of what this show is all about. Imagine a Liberia where citizens are empowered with adequate information and resources to thoroughly evaluate their leaders, demand transparency, and hold public officials accountable for their actions. Also, imagine a society where young people eagerly utilize various creative communication tools to transform their anger and frustrations into constructive dialogue and inspiring works of art. That's the Liberia we envision. And to achieve this significant undertaking, we look forward to partnering with you, our followers and supporters, Liberians from all walks of life and in every corner of the globe. I will see you next time. But until we meet again, please take good care of yourselves and remember to be kind to everyone around you. I'll see you next time.
Thank you. You can still hear me?